That was a bit rubbish, wasn't it? It's a bit hot. Welcome to episode 12 of the Crochet Studio Sessions. We are in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK, and most of our houses do not have air conditioning, so excuse me being a bit hot and clammy. Heat aside, obviously I have to start with that. I'm British. I've got something new to show you. If you were watching my last episode, you will have seen me introduce the first sample bit of my new vest top pattern, which I have a name for. And I just started the version I was using my silk for, and I committed to having it done by this episode, and I have just about. It's literally still on the blocking board. So, should we just show it to you first and then we'll talk about it? Are you ready for this? Here she is, still on the blocking board. Shall I show you what it looks like off the board? Here she is now. Still haven't sewn ends in. We're inside out, so let's turn it the right way around. After my cat treading on the blocking board incident with my lark sweater, I now make sure that I block everything inside out in case of any pulls. Anyway, no pulls with this one, and still got my little stitch marker in, which marks the right side. This is the first time I've actually seen it off the board. Look how that moves. I've got a lot to say about this top and the silk, but let's start at the beginning. Shall we try it on? And here she is. Still got the ends in. I leave my ends until right at the end after blocking, partly because, you're then sewing your ends into the final tension. Also, in case I get to this point and I'm like, oh my God, I've made a drastic error. That's why I tend to leave my ends. It's going to get rid of the noisy chair. So, I am really pleased with this. It's really interesting. So I did block this to the final size. I need to find a hair clip. I blocked this to the final size. I used spritz blocking, so I just sprayed it. I dampened it down quite a lot. I didn't want to soak block it, partly because this is hand dyed, and I've had some slightly scary incidents with colour running, so I didn't want to take that risk. And it may well have been fine, but I didn't want to pollute this beautiful rainbow speckled yarn, which, if you'd seen last week, the colourway is called Faves. And the name that I went with, thank you for your name suggestions, I'm deciding to call it, so the cardigan, which it's based off here, this is called the Meadow Waves cardigan, which uses the same stitch pattern. So I wanted to echo that name, but also make it stand out, so I'm calling it Light Waves, because it's a lighter version. You've got this kind of beach shoreline colour fade type thing. I'm not quite sure that's what you call it, but I thought a lot about the colour combination. So I've got this yarn A on the shoulders. The blue is yarn B in this pattern. And these start wide and get narrow, and the blue start narrow and get wider. I love that kind of crossfade look. I actually added a few more rows at the bottom just to get to the length that I wanted, and I'm pleased I did. It just balances it out. I've got actually quite a lot of yarn left. Oh, please. I know I've got 58 grams of yarn A left from 100 gram skein, which is amazing. And I'll show you. 1 second. Where is it? Okay. I'm blaming my lack of preparation on the heat, but this FYI. This I actually bought to weigh my cat because I need to monitor her weight at the moment because she's little. But it's quite good for measuring, for weighing yarn. Not so much the yarn, I've got my little scales for that, but when you've got a big sweater, I was like, that can double up nicely. So this is what I've got left from those 100 gram of each. There is 58 grams left, I believe. I'm going to guess there's maybe 25 in that. So yeah, 58 of that. Oh my God. I'm not even lying. That's bang on 25. I'm obviously getting good at weight. I'm actually really freaked out by that. I promise you, I didn't weigh it before. Anyway, so this is a size small. There's quite a lot of positive ease. Now, what's very interesting and what excited me about this project is the way this moves in the silk. So this is 100% silk. I've never worked with 100% silk before. And I also made my sample, which is here, which I've still got a few more rows to do. And I love how different it looks just in the colours alone. But this uses, this is Fybrespates scrumptious yarn, which is a blend of silk and merino wool. I think it's 45% silk and the rest is wool, merino wool. And you can see it's kind of got a twist to it. It's quite loosely twisted. Whereas the silk, the 100% silk, is single ply. So it's just one strand sort of twisted. Now, let's see if I can compare this on screen. This isn't going to work, is it? Okay. So I don't know how well you can tell on screen, but this pink Fybrespates is quite a bit plumper than the silk. So the silk is very smooth. There's no halo on it. It's very strong. That's a good sound. So silk is super strong and it doesn't have any stretch. It's a little bit like cotton or bamboo in that respect. I did actually try, when I didn't have scissors, to fasten off by snapping it, which I sometimes do with wool yarn. It was having none of it. Whereas the merino silk blend, I still probably couldn't snap it. Should I have a go? Yeah, that's not snapping. But it's got more stretch in it, and because of the way it's twisted, it's got more bounce. So this feels quite a lot chunkier than the silk version. This is actually a slightly heavier weight yarn anyway. So with the silk, you get 400 meters in 100 grams. With the scrumptious, the Fybrespates, you get 365. So you do get a little less in your 100 gram skein. But working with them was quite different as well. And I really want to talk to you about that. But I'm just going to pause, sit down and grab a drink. I feel like Monica from Friends, just screaming. It's the humidity inside my head. Okay. So with this lace pattern here, it involves working into chains. Let's get the pink one to show you. Shush check. So you can work over the top of the chain space in this pattern, but I choose to work into it, into the chain, which I'm not going to lie, it does take a bit longer, but I think it's worth the payoff for the way that the lace pattern just comes together. I just want to try and... So it does, yeah, it's one of those things where just enjoy the process. It's going to take a bit longer, but enjoy it. And you'll reap the benefits when it's done. So what I noticed, the silk, which is very slippy and silky, unsurprisingly, when you're chaining, it's very, very easy to pull that chain quite tight. So when it comes back to working into that chain, it can be a bit tricky. So when I was working with this, I did have to pay quite a lot of attention to making sure my chains didn't tighten up. The same with the slip stitches, which I got round the trim. I love using slip stitches on straps because it just stops them from stretching. I'll come to that, the straps and the finishing in a bit. But I did find that with the merino silk blend, which I've now got fluff in my mouth, is much easier in this yarn to keep a hold of my chains and to work back into them because they didn't just tighten up. And I think this gauge, this hasn't been blocked, but generally it's heavier, even though it's not as long, this one. I've still got some yarn to use, so I think I'm going to keep going with this. But this, my gauge was naturally much looser, but this did block out to the same, this did block out, the silk one did block out to the same size quite easily. So this silk, it almost kind of clings, so it gathers up, but it will kind of loosen out. Whereas this is more, it's sort of less elastic in a way. But there's a lot of stretch in the yarn. It's quite hard to describe, but they do create quite different fabrics. And I love them both, actually. I'm really pleased with them both. But it's something to look at if you want to make this. And the pattern's not out yet, but it will be out by next week. I will add a link here once it's done, but make sure you're on my mailing list because that's where you'll hear about it first. So yeah, I think it's a really good example of, even though there's quite a lot of overlap with the fibres, how different the fibres make the finished result, and neither's better or worse. They're just different. And I'm really happy with both of them. I would absolutely wear both of these. It's interesting because the original Mellow Waves cardigan, I'm pretty sure this is and I meant to check, but I'm pretty sure this is a silk merino blend. And I'm just checking to see if I worked into the chains on this one. I just need to check which way up it is. Interestingly, no, I did work into the chains. I worked over the chains in this one. So when you're swatching, maybe try a bit of both, see what you prefer. That is quite interesting. Whatever you do, working into chains, working over chains, just be consistent and then it'll be fine. Okay, so yeah, the difference in the yarn, the addition of wool makes more friction, which means your stitches are generally going to be a bit looser. They're going to stick to your hook a bit more, whereas the silk is very slippy. But I did enjoy working. I've never worked with 100% silk before, and I did really enjoy it. And I think this is a really nice vest. So I'm very excited about that. And I always like showing examples of these little idiosyncrasies. Like, these are both fingering weight yarns, but they're really quite different, even though they've got a lot of overlap with the fibre. So lengthwise, I think I'm going to keep going with this. I've probably got another 80 grams of that yarn. So I will try it on and decide how long I want to go. Maybe I'll keep it cropped. Don't really want to be touching wool at all at the moment. But yeah, there's lots of scope for adjustments in this pattern. So I'm really excited to get it out to you, which, like I say, should be next week. Watch this space. So I think that's pretty much everything I had to say about the Light Waves top. So let's get on to other business. So something else that we have that is new is I have tried something totally new on the blog, and I have a guest blog post. It's a 2-part series, and it's from Catherine Crochets, who designs the most incredible tapestry crochet blankets. And she, over 2 parts, is sharing her kind of tips for working with tapestry crochet and how she uses different stitch options for her designs. So she talks about stitch selection and about blanket construction and kind of what each of those factors gives you in a tapestry crochet blanket. So there's 3 main stitches she used. She uses extended singles a lot, US turns, which delighted me because I love extended crochet. This uses extended doubles, this one. So she talks about what the different properties of the different stitches are and the different blanket construction styles, and that's part 1. And then in part 2, which is due out any time now, depending on when you're watching this, it's probably out, so I'll put links to these. In the second part, we look at more intermediate techniques, so introducing texture, introducing kind of shaping with your colours, so all sorts of little extra bits. So that's really interesting. I mean, I learned a lot. I don't do a lot of tapestry crochet. I've always thought, it's a bit fiddly, but reading this, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of ways that you can make it really super effective. So I really enjoyed doing that. It was just something totally different for me. If there's any designers out there that you'd love to, or you think I should feature maybe in the autumn, then do let me know, drop in the comments, or if there's any areas of expertise that you'd love me to dig into that maybe is not my area of expertise. I'd love bringing on other designers who, have a totally different wheelhouse to me. I think it's great. And on the note of autumn, I've decided this is episode 12 of season 1 of the Crochet Studio Sessions, but I've decided to take a break from recording these over July and August. I find it really difficult to get the balance between being a content creator and a crochet designer. I think I've talked about this before, but I love engaging. I love talking about crochet. I get excited, obviously, you can probably tell. But I also love designing and making the things, and there's the designing the things and making sure people get to see the things, and it can be really hard to get that balance right. So what I want to do over the next couple of months is get really ahead for when September comes, essentially, because I know a lot of people don't crochet as much during the summer. Like I said, I don't want to touch any wool right now, and I just want to lay in like a cool pool, to be honest. So I want to take the next couple of months, which are a bit down to kind of prep for the autumn. And a lot of you will be on holiday. I will have some time off with my family. That said, I will not be gone completely. So I aim to bring this podcast back in September, probably the second week of September. I know the first week of September, especially in the UK, it's almost like an annual reset, all the back to school stuff. So I like to wait to get that out of the way. But in August, I have, and if you've been around a while, you may have come across this, but I run a kind of special celebratory crochet event throughout the whole month. Each day in August, I offer 50% off one of my patterns. It's a different pattern each day. I try and make sure they're all paid only patterns. Some of them might be available free or available free in one size. So I offer that. We also have a little treasure hunt that happens on the blog, and where you find the clues, and then at the end of the month you get a discount code for a little pattern bundle for free. And I also have random little free patterns dotted in throughout the month. So I'm going to do the communications about a bit different next month. So I will be sharing what's coming up, what's going to be available in the week to come. So you kind of, rather than having to check every day, which you obviously can do, you get a bit of a heads up about what might be coming in the next week. So if there's something you've had your eye on, you get a bit of advance notice. Now, it won't be every single one of my patterns. There's 31 days in August. The last day is usually for the bundle. So that's 30 patterns. And I haven't selected them all yet, but this is what I'll be working next month. So yeah, that event is called Crochet Calling, because it's that little whisper that crochet season's coming. So I will be talking about that in my newsletter. I will put a link to last year's event here, just so if you want to know how it worked, you can look at last year. And each year is a little bit different. I always tweak things, and So if there's anything you've loved in the past or you didn't like or you'd like to see from previous years, I think this is my 5th or 6th year of doing it. But I love it for August. It's good fun. So that is coming up next. I've also got design plans. Obviously, I want to get this released. This should be done next week because I'd love you to be able to make it and enjoy it for your summer. I've also got a version of a cardigan version of the Lark sweater that I will be working on throughout July. And I've got a big sort of plaid scarf, which I did share my swatch for that a few episodes back. And if you saw my video from the Edinburgh Yarn show, I've got a really nice plan for the rose wool yarn that I bought. It's a yarn that has rose fibre in. I'm still blown away. It would actually work really well for this because the rose is almost a little bit like bamboo. But I've only got 250 gram skeins. So lots to be getting on with over my summer holidays. I will get these ends sewn in as well. But yeah, if there's anything you'd like to see for season 2, please let me know. If you have any general feedback about these sessions, please let me know. I've really enjoyed making them. I do find they take longer than they're meant to, but I'm trying to keep it very low-key, very minimal editing because this stuff takes a lot of time and I want to be designing stuff and telling you about it. So yeah, thank you for all the lovely comments and for everyone that's watched. It's been a learning curve. I am quite excited about coming back in the autumn for it. Take my little learnings, have a think about what I could do that might be new or that you might enjoy. So until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.